There was a brand called CocoFit. They struggled a ton and then eventually went out of business because they tried to automate personal training. So they created these all-in-one machines that you'd have a key fob and it would count your reps. And every time you went to the machine, it would say how to do more and what weight you did last time. Really cool concept. The problem was their theory was that the reason that people weren't getting results is that they didn't know what to do, when the reality is that no one was showing up at the gym. And so people hire personal trainers because they want another human to talk to and to hold them accountable to showing up.
Since the very early stages of humanity, human beings have been teaching other human beings a variety of concepts and skills, and this includes physical skills and what would later be dubbed physical fitness. Despite this, fitness didn't really become an industry until the 20th century. But honestly, it didn't really even boom until the 21st century. By and large, though fitness training offerings did exist centuries ago, the most involved offerings appealed primarily to athletes. It was pretty niche otherwise. Gym class was most people's exposure to health and fitness. Gym was introduced to schools in the 1800s and remained a staple in schools ever since the later portion of that century. But when it comes to budget cuts in schools, physical education is often the first victim, so the quality of that education was kind of all over the place. The YMCA was also founded around the time that gym class became a thing, and served as a space where athletics and physical activity were promoted. Fun fact, the YMCA essentially created volleyball and basketball. The dawn of bodybuilding, sparked by Eugene Sandow in the early 20th century, brought interest for learning how to develop the physique, which was furthered by Charles Atlas, who showcased muscle building concepts and kind of overpromised results in a variety of magazine and comic book ads. Also at this time, the godfather of fitness, Jack LaLanne, who is somebody I've talked about a lot on this channel, would open the first health club, aka gym, in the United States in 1936, where he sort of trained people in a prototypical manner. In the 1950s, Jack would also go on to debut the first ever fitness TV program, where he would educate watchers on the ins and outs of exercise and nutrition. But perhaps the biggest push for interest in physical instruction, or how to become jacked, came after Arnold Schwarzenegger hit the scene in the 1970s with his special brand of charisma and undeniable physical prowess. He started by making bodybuilding a household name, and then became an even more mainstream name in the 1980s by entering the film industry, where his physique was of course further showcased for the impressionable masses. Outside of Schwarzenegger, the 1980s introduced the world to personalities such as Jane Fonda and Richard Simmons, who followed in Jack LaLanne's example by offering fitness instruction from the comfort of the home. But at this time, we now had VHS tapes. The home media fitness trend would continue on from then on out. In regard to personal training specifically, fitness instruction had been legitimized to the point where the first strength and conditioning certification was established in 1985 by the National Strength and Conditioning Association. From there, we would see the rise of the American Council on Exercise and the National Academy of Sports Medicine, amongst many others, of course. Clearly, fitness instruction did exist throughout history, but it would not become an official career option until the end of the 20th century.
As a professional trainer, guys, I'm a little worried about your triceps. You guys aren't going all the way down. It's called full extension, and I'm not seeing it.
Its history is really quite young in the grand scheme of things. But you know what's not as young as you may have thought? AI. And to go a step further, the concept of a robot dates back to ancient Egypt, where they made statues or automatons of workers doing their jobs. But the history of robots is a big tangent, so anyway.
What kind of set and rep scheme should I be focusing
you
most
might want
of?
to try plyometric exercises. They combine strength and speed for power. Is there a specific sport you're training for?
Yeah, girl, it's the cut me off when I'm in the middle of my question competition. And apparently you internationally ranked. Now, I muted her for that because when Skynet shows up, I want to be on record as being only nice to GPTs.
The term artificial intelligence wasn't first used until 1955, when it was coined by computer scientist John McCarthy. Worry around AI has been there ever since the concept was introduced, largely because of the inherent mystery behind intelligence that is not human nor animal at all. What does it mean for the future of humanity if these things can carry out thoughts and tasks better than we can? This concept has really picked up in recent times specifically. This is likely because the technology is getting pretty wild, you could say.
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
Bottom line is that there are many people who seem to be uneasy, uncertain, or flat out terrified by the potential of AI. Without dwelling too much on the world-shattering possibilities, I will instead focus on the influence that it may have on the workforce. But I also don't want to open up the can of worms, which is the conversation about which jobs are currently most at risk. So we will instead look at the jobs that are likely the least at risk, and why that may be. First, we'll look at medical doctors. The general consensus seems to be that medical doctors can't fully be replaced, and there are apparently 12.8 million physicians worldwide. And why can't they be replaced, you ask? Well, because people want that human touch, of course. That's the short answer anyway. And the second that we'll discuss is basically the main topic of the video, the personal training industry, which is nuzzled within the larger fitness industry. I'm not directly comparing these two professions, though it is interesting that they both deal with people's physical health in a different sort of way. But there is definitely some inherent crossover between the two. And when looking at the global number of personal trainers, there are only 740,000 by comparison. This is obviously because the demand for doctors is higher than that of personal trainers, and it's also a much more varied profession in terms of specializations. But could this also be in part because the profession is so much newer than that of medical doctors? It's quite possible, because at the end of the day, helping people work out definitely has its place. Before the potential threat of AI, personal training was already a competitive industry in and of itself, even without outside competitors, which it's no stranger to. There was of course workout VHSs and DVDs, and then there was the internet and social media fitness, which includes internet fitness personalities and influencers offering online coaching and or selling programs. CrossFit is another competitor, you could say, and certain other group fitness situations, but many of these have personal trainer crossover. You could even go as far as to say the obesity epidemic on some real level is like a competitor for personal trainers. As people continue to become more and more obese, it sort of implies that people are continuing to not work out as much. But then again, more obesity may also necessitate the need for more personal trainers. Whatever. It's all on a spectrum, isn't it? And I feel like all those infomercial or home gym products kind of have been like competition for a personal trainer as well. Most of them are pretty terrible. Not all. But yeah, a lot of them. Up until recently, competition in the fitness space was either human or like a shake weight or something. We now have robots preparing to take on the fitness scene. And right now, believe it or not, you could buy a robot personal trainer that comes out of your wall, because Tonal exists. Truly, this is the closest thing we currently have to something that could put personal trainers out of work. But the whole point of the doctor comparison is that I don't think that will happen anytime soon, because people want that human touch. It's hard to imagine a point where a machine can empathize and connect like a human can.
I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do.
People who seek personal training want a relationship of some sort, and someone to depend on for accountability.
Now step over to the Abdominator, and I will shout slogans at you. Push, harder, go past the max, reach over the top, master your ass.
And when it comes to dealing with the human body, in regards to its health, people seem to want a human as their guide. Humans know humans. Though not currently replaceable, doctors and personal trainers seem to be working with the AI. So there is that. Maybe a slippery slope, but let's not get hung up on the drawbacks of over-reliance on technology. Trust me, it would be very easy to turn this video that involves AI into a very scary and bleak one. So I will instead say that, for now, I think personal training is safe. On principle alone, I don't think that I could ever use ChatGPT to write client programs, but who knows? Maybe one day everyone will be doing it. And who even knows? Maybe the AI is responsible for information on the internet. So therefore, the research that I did for this video is in part the result of AI. Oh gosh, maybe this truly is the beginning. Just kidding. Remember folks, we're being optimistic here. Dear viewers, I am in fact a personal trainer, but more than that, I am a promoter of health and fitness. And to plug Success Fitness and Training, I want to say that our mission to normalize health and fitness has only just begun. We're an ambitious group of trainers who want to impact the collective health of the world. And I don't think robots are going to be able to replace us. But stay tuned. Goodbye, everybody.